Dr. Nara looked out the big window of the research station. The giant gas planet below them was beautiful. Its orange and red clouds moved in slow circles. She had been studying this planet for 2 years now. It was peaceful work that she loved. The Villani research station was small but modern. 12 scientists lived there. They studied the planet's air and weather. The Villani people were known across the galaxy for being smart and careful. They never fought wars. They only wanted to learn new things. Nara was checking her computer when the alarms started. Red lights flashed everywhere. The station's voice spoke in a calm tone that did not match the danger. Warning! Unknown ships detected. All staff report to safe rooms. Nara ran to the main control room. Other scientists were already there. Their blue skin had turned pale with fear. Dr. Kale was at the big screen that showed space around them. "What is it?" Nara asked. Kale pointed at the screen. "Look." Nara saw them and her heart stopped. Huge black ships were coming out of nowhere. They looked like giant insects made of metal and bone. Each ship was the size of a city. Green slime dripped from their sides. Sharp claws stuck out from their front ends. "Hive ships," whispered Dr. Vell. The stories were true. The Hive were monsters from the dark parts of space. They ate everything. They turned planets into empty rocks. Most people thought they were just scary stories. But here they were. The first ship reached the station. Nara heard a terrible sound like metal being torn apart. Acid started eating through the outer walls. Green smoke filled the halls. "Emergency message sent to all nearby ships," Kyle said. His hands shook as he worked. "But the closest help is days away." A hole opened in the wall. Something crawled through. It was as big as Nara but shaped like a giant bug. Its black eyes stared at them. Sharp teeth filled its mouth. It made a clicking sound. The creature jumped at Dr. Vell. She screamed as it grabbed her with long claws. More creatures poured through the hole. The scientists ran in different directions. Nara reached the communication room. She had to warn others. She had to call for help. But who would come? The Villani had no warships. Their friends were too far away. She remembered the old stories. There was one race that everyone feared. They came from a world so dangerous that the galaxy had banned them. Earth humans, the Deathworlders. Most civilized people said humans were too violent, too crazy. They fought wars for fun. They lived on a planet where everything tried to kill them. The Galactic Council had locked them away 300 years ago. But maybe that was what they needed now. Maybe only monsters could fight monsters. Nara's fingers flew over the controls. She found the emergency channel that reached human space. She had never used it before. No one had. "This is Dr. Nara of Villani Research Station Kepler 442b, she spoke into the device. "We are under attack by Hive forces. All crew in danger. We need immediate help. Please respond." A creature burst into the room behind her. Nara turned to see death coming for her. The bug thing was huge. Its claws were covered in blue blood. Vell's blood. The creature made that clicking sound again. It seemed to be calling others. Nara backed against the wall. There was nowhere to run. "Any human ships?" she said into the communicator. "Please help us. The Hive is here. They are killing everyone." The creature jumped. Nara closed her eyes. Far away in human space, Admiral Hyun sat in his command chair. The old man had gray hair and scars on his face. He had fought in the border wars before the quarantine. He remembered when humans could travel freely among the stars. The communication device made a sound. Hyun looked at his aide, Commander Wu. "Sir, we have an emergency transmission from the Villani sector." "Villani?" Hyun raised an eyebrow. "What do those peaceful types want with us?" Wu played the message. They heard Nara's voice, scared but trying to stay calm. Then they heard the clicking sounds and screams in the background. "Hive," Hyun said. His voice was cold as space. I thought they were still in the outer rim. Apparently not, sir. Should we respond? Yun stood up. He was tall and strong despite his age. His uniform was covered with medals from old battles. He walked to the big window that showed the human fleet. Hundreds of ships floated in space. Warships that had been sleeping for decades. The galaxy thought humans were locked away forever. They were wrong. The Villani called us Deathworlders, Hyun said. They banned us from their space, said we were too dangerous. Yes, sir. And now they want our help. Hyun smiled, but it was not a kind smile. It was the smile of a hunter who had found prey. Send. Word to all ships. Wake up the crews. Prep for immediate launch. And call Colonel June. Tell him to ready his Marines. Sir, the quarantine treaties... Hyun turned to face Wu. His eyes were hard as steel. There are civilians in danger, Commander. Innocent people being eaten alive. The treaties can go to hell. Across the human fleet, lights began to turn on. Engines that had been cold for years started to warm up. In barracks and sleeping areas, soldiers got ready for war. Captain Day was on her ship when the call came. She had been a pirate before, joining the human fleet. Now she commanded the fastest destroyer in human space. Her crew was made up of other former criminals, people who knew how to fight dirty and win. Captain, her aide called, Admiral wants all ships ready in 1 hour. Day grinned. She had been bored for months. Peace was nice, but she missed the excitement of battle. You heard him? She called to her crew. Let's show the galaxy what human ships can do. On the assault carrier Jeju, Colonel June got his Marines ready. These were not normal soldiers. They had chosen to have operations that removed their fear. Their reflexes were faster than any natural human. They could fight in conditions that would kill normal people. Listen up, June told his troops. We have hive contacts. Civilians under attack. We are going to help them. The Marines cheered. They had trained for years but never fought real battles. Now they would face the most dangerous enemy in the galaxy. Back on the research station, Nara hid in a supply closet. The creature had missed her when she dove away. Now she could hear them searching the halls, looking for survivors to drag away and eat. She held the small communicator close to her chest. No one had answered her call. Maybe the humans had not heard. Maybe they did not care. Maybe the stories about them were wrong. A claw scratched at the door. The creature had found her hiding spot. The scratching got louder. The door would not hold much longer. Nara closed her eyes and waited for the end. Then her communicator made a sound. A human voice came through, rough and strong. Villani Station, this is Admiral Hyun of the Terran Defense Fleet. We received your message. Help is coming. Hold on. The door broke open. The creature reached for her with bloody claws. But, for the first time since the attack started, Nara smiled. The Deathworlders were coming. The TDF Incheon was the biggest ship in the human fleet. It was 5 kilometers long and covered with weapons. Huge railguns stuck out from its sides like the spines of a metal beast. For 30 years it had waited in orbit around Luna. Now its engines roared to life. Captain Kim stood on the bridge and watched his crew work. They moved fast but careful. Every person knew their job. They had trained for this day but never thought it would come. Engine power at full, reported his chief. Engineer. All weapon systems ready. Railguns loaded with tungsten rounds. Kim nodded. He was young for a captain but had earned his rank in simulator battles. The older officers respected him because he was smart and did not waste lives. Time to target? 6. Hours at maximum jump speed, sir. Kim looked at the tactical display. The Villani research station was just a small dot in space. But innocent people were dying there. People who had called humans monsters were now begging for their help. All ships, this is Captain Kim. We launch in 10 minutes. Remember? The galaxy thinks we are savage. Let's prove them right. In the fighter, bays, pilots ran to their ships. These were not the big, slow fighters that other races used. Human fighters were fast and deadly. They could change direction so quickly that they would kill normal pilots. But humans could handle forces that would turn other species into paste. Lieutenant Hana climbed into her fighter. She had been waiting 3 years for real combat. The simulations were fun, but this was different. Real enemies, real danger. "Phoenix Squadron, sound off," she called into her radio. "Phoenix 2 ready. Phoenix 3 ready. Phoenix 4 ready." All 12 fighters reported ready. Hana smiled inside her helmet. Her squadron was made up of the best pilots in the fleet. They flew like they were born in space. "Admiral, Phoenix Squadron ready for launch. Hold position until we reach the target, Phoenix Leader. Then you show those bugs what human pilots can do." On the destroyer Busan, Captain Day checked her weapons. Her ship was smaller than the big cruisers, but it was fast and hard to hit. She had painted shark teeth on the front of her ship. It made her crew laugh and scared their enemies. "Captain, we have full stealth systems online," reported her tactical officer. "The enemy will not see us until we want them to." Day had short black hair and a scar across her left cheek. She got the scar in a knife fight with pirates before joining the fleet. That was back when she was a pirate herself. "Good. Load the special rounds in tubes 1 through 6. "The acid rounds, Captain?" "The very same. If these bugs want to use acid, we will give them some back." Her crew grinned. They were all former criminals who had joined the fleet instead of going to prison. The galaxy called them the worst kind of humans. They wore that title with pride. The assault carrier Jeju was different from the other ships. It was built to carry soldiers, not fight space battles, but it could land troops anywhere, even on planets covered with enemy forces. Colonel June walked through the Marine sections. His soldiers were getting ready for battle. They checked their weapons and armor. Each Marine carried enough firepower to destroy a small building. "Colonel," Sergeant Pak called out, "the new guys want to know what to expect." June stopped at a group of young Marines. They looked nervous but excited. He remembered being their age, eager for his first real battle. "The Hive are not like other enemies," he told them. "They do not feel fear. They do not surrender. They want to eat you alive, but they have never fought humans before." "What makes us different, sir?" asked one of the young Marines. June smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Every other species in the galaxy evolved on safe worlds. They had to learn to be violent. We evolved on Earth. Violence is what we do best. The Hive think they are perfect. Predators. They are about to learn they are wrong." The Marines cheered. They were ready to show the galaxy why humans had been locked away. Dr. Hana was not a soldier. She was the fleet's expert on alien biology. She had studied every known species in the galaxy. Now she sat in the briefing room with the senior officers. "The Hive are insects," she explained, "but they are as smart as any species we know. They have a hive mind. All the smaller bugs follow orders from the Queen." Admiral Hyun leaned forward. "What are their weak points?" "Their shells can stop most energy weapons, but kinetic rounds work well. Bullets, railgun slugs, anything with mass and speed. Also, if you kill the Queen, the smaller bugs become confused. How big are these queens?" "Reports say they can be as large as a city block. They stay in the center of their ships, protected by thousands of warrior bugs." The officers looked at each other, fighting through thousands of enemies to reach one. Target sounded impossible, but they were human. Impossible was just another word for difficult. "We will find a way," Hyun said. "We always do." Lieutenant Commander Wu was in charge of communications. She made sure all the ships could talk to each other. She also listened to enemy signals and tried to learn their plans. "Admiral, I am picking up transmissions from the Hive ships," she reported. "They are not using any encryption. They think no one can understand them. Can you translate it?" "The computer is working on it, but I can tell they are excited. They keep mentioning feeding time and fresh meat." Hyun's face got hard. He had seen what the Hive did to prisoners. They did not just kill people. They kept them alive while they ate them. Slowly. How long until we reach the target? 4 hours, sir. Not fast enough. Push the engines harder. Sir, if we push any harder, we might damage the jump drives. Then we fix them later. Those people do not have 4 hours. Across the fleet, engineers worked to squeeze more power from the engines. Human ships were built tough. They could take punishment that would destroy other vessels. But they had limits. On the medical ship Mokpo, doctors got ready for casualties. Dr. Young had served in the border wars. She knew what combat wounds looked like. She also knew that humans could survive injuries that would kill other species. Prepare the trauma bays, she told her staff, and get the synthetic blood ready. We are going to need a lot of it. Her nurses moved quickly. They had trained for this but hoped it would never happen. War was terrible, but sometimes it was necessary. The fleet jumped through hyperspace toward the battle. Each ship was ready for war. The crews sang old songs and told stories of past battles. They cleaned their weapons and said prayers to whatever gods they believed in. Captain Day stood on her bridge and watched the stars streak past. She thought about the scared voice in the distress call. Dr. Nara had sounded like a good person. Someone who did not deserve to die. Captain, we will reach the target in 2 hours, her navigator reported. Good. Signal the fleet. Tell them the Busan is ready to dance. In his quarters, Admiral Hyun looked at old photos. Pictures of Earth before the quarantine. Pictures of human colonies that were abandoned when the galaxy decided humans were too dangerous. 300 years ago, humans had tried to be peaceful. They had followed the galactic laws and tried to fit in. But there was always another war, another crisis that needed human soldiers to fix. Finally, the other species got scared. They said humans were too violent, too unpredictable. The quarantine was supposed to last 50 years. It had lasted 6 times that long. Now the galaxy needed them again. But this time, things would be different. This time, humans would not go quietly back into their cage. Hyun put the photos away and walked to the bridge. His officers stood at attention when they saw him. Status report. All ships ready, sir. We will reach the target in 90 minutes. Signal the fleet. Tell them to prepare for combat and open a channel to all ships. Channel open, sir. Hyun's voice carried to every human ship in the fleet. Thousands of crew members stopped what they were doing to listen. Warriors of Earth, he began. For 3 centuries, the galaxy has called us monsters. They locked us away and tried to forget we existed. Today, we remind them why they feared us. The crew cheered, but Hyun was not finished. The enemy we face shows no mercy. They eat the innocent and destroy worlds. They think they are the ultimate. Predators. But they have never met humans before. More cheers echoed through the ships. Today we show the galaxy that humans protect those who cannot protect themselves. Today we prove that sometimes the only thing that can stop a monster is a bigger monster. Today we go to war. The cheers were so loud they could be heard through the ship hulls. Every human in the fleet was ready to fight, ready to show the galaxy what Deathworlders could do. The fleet jumped toward the Villani research station, toward battle, toward a war that would change everything. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace like falling stars. One moment, empty space surrounded the dying Villani research station. The next moment, 200 human warships appeared in perfect battle formation. Admiral Hyun stood on the bridge of the Incheon and watched the tactical display. 6 massive hive bioships were attached to the research station like parasites. Green acid ate through the station's hull while smaller bug creatures crawled through the holes. "My God," whispered Commander Wu. "Look at the size of those things." The largest hive ship was the size of a small moon. Its black surface moved like living skin. Thousands of smaller ships swarmed around it like angry wasps. Each bioship pulsed with organic lights that hurt to look at. "Sir, we are being scanned," reported the sensor officer. "The hive ships are turning toward us." "Let them look," Hyun said calmly. Open fire. All ships, all weapons. Show them what human firepower looks like. The space around the research station lit up like a sun going nova. Every human ship fired at once. Railgun rounds moved so fast they were invisible. Missile swarms raced toward the bioships like angry metal bees. The Hive had fought many species before. They had destroyed peaceful explorers and brave defenders, but they had never faced humans. Most galactic species announced themselves when they arrived. They tried to talk first, fight later. They followed rules about warfare that were older than human civilization. Humans did not follow those rules. The first railgun rounds hit the largest bioship before it could react. The tungsten slugs punched through its organic armor like bullets through paper. Green blood sprayed into space. The bioship screamed, a sound that came through space itself. On the destroyer Busan, Captain Day laughed as her ship danced between enemy fire. Acid streams shot past her bridge windows, missing by meters. "Come on, you ugly bugs," she called out. "Is that the best you can do?" Her gunners fired back with special rounds filled with human-made acid. When they hit the bioships, the enemy's own weapon was turned against them. The Hive creatures had never faced anyone crazy enough to weaponize acid. "Captain, enemy fighter swarm incoming," her tactical officer reported. Day looked at her screen. Hundreds of bug fighters were flying toward them. Each one was piloted by a Hive warrior with reflexes faster than most species could match. "Release Phoenix Squadron," she ordered. Lieutenant Hana and her fighters launched from the Incheon like bullets from a gun. Her fighter was small and fast, built for speed instead of armor. A single hit would kill her, but that just made the game more interesting. "Phoenix Squadron, spread out and engage," she commanded. "Remember, these bugs have never seen human pilots before. Let's give them a show they will never forget." The space battle became a deadly dance. Hive fighters were fast and deadly, but they flew in patterns. They followed rules programmed into their minds by the Hive Queen. Human pilots did not follow patterns. They did whatever worked. Hana rolled her fighter upside down and fired through a gap between two enemy ships. Her rounds hit a biofighter and tore it apart. The bug pilot never saw the attack coming. "Phoenix 2, nice shot," she called to her wingman. "Thanks, lead. These bugs are fast but predictable. They keep trying the same attacks." That was the difference between humans and most other species. Humans adapted. They learned from each fight and changed their tactics. The Hive had conquered 17 star systems using the same methods every time. On the assault carrier Jeju, Colonel June watched the space battle on his screens. His Marines were ready to launch, but they needed a way onto the enemy ships. "Colonel, the main bioship has launched boarding pods," reported his aide. "They are trying to board our ships." June smiled. The enemy was giving him exactly what he needed. Launch counterboarding pods. If they want to board our ships, we will board theirs. The human boarding pods were simple metal boxes with engines and life support. No shields, no fancy systems. Just enough to get Marines from one ship to another. Most species thought they were primitive. The Hive boarding pods were living creatures. They had organic walls that could heal damage and acid weapons built into their skin. They looked much more advanced than human technology, but advanced did not always mean better. The human pods slammed into the bioships without slowing down. They punched through the organic hulls and split open like metal flowers. Marines poured out, already firing their weapons. Sergeant Pack led his squad through a hole in the bioship's side. The interior looked like the inside of a giant insect. Walls pulsed with alien heartbeats. Strange lights made everything look green and sick. "Spread out," he commanded. "Remember, aim for the joints. Their armor is weakest there." A Hive warrior rounded the corner ahead of them. It was twice as tall as a human and covered in black chitin armor. Its 4 arms ended in razor-sharp claws. Its mouth had too many teeth. The creature let out a battle cry that would have frozen most species with fear. Pack and his Marines opened fire. The bug's armor was designed to stop energy weapons. Laser rifles and plasma guns could barely scratch it. but human assault rifles fired solid metal bullets at high speed. The rounds punched through the chitin like it was cardboard. The warrior fell, green blood pooling around its body. "Keep moving," Pack ordered. "We need to find the ship's brain." Every Hive bioship had a central brain that controlled its functions. Destroying it would cripple the ship. But reaching it meant fighting through hundreds of warriors. Back in space, the battle was turning in humanity's favor. The human fleet had taken damage, but the bioships were dying. Admiral Hyun watched one of the smaller ships break apart under concentrated railgun fire. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the research station," Commander Wu reported. "Dr. Nara is still alive. Put her through." The main screen showed a blue-skinned Vellani female hiding in what looked like a supply closet. Her scientific robes were torn and stained with blood. Her large eyes were filled with terror and hope. "Admiral Hyun," she said. "Thank you for coming. Most of my colleagues are dead or captured. The creatures took them to the main ship." "How? Many survivors?" "Maybe 20. They are being held in the bioship's feeding chambers." Hyun's face went hard. He knew what hive feeding chambers were for. The creatures liked their food to be alive and scared when they ate it. "We will get them back," he promised. "All of them." On the largest bioship, the Hive Queen watched the battle with growing confusion. Her warriors were dying. Her ships were being destroyed. This had never happened before. The Queen was massive, the size of a building. Her mind connected to every hive creature in the fleet. She could see through their eyes and think with their brains. It made her species nearly impossible to defeat. But humans were different. They did not follow expected patterns. They fought, like individual warriors instead of a coordinated force, yet somehow worked together better than any hive mind. The Queen sent new orders to her warriors: adapt to human tactics, learn from their attacks. But her creatures could not adapt fast enough. They had been bred for millions of years to follow orders, not to think for themselves. Colonel June and his Marines fought their way deeper into the bioship. The corridors were filled with hive warriors, but human weapons and tactics proved superior. The Marines worked in small teams, covering each other as they advanced. "Colonel, we found the feeding chambers," Sergeant Pack reported over the radio. "The Vellani prisoners are alive but injured." "Get them out of there," June ordered. "Then continue to the ship's brain." The feeding chambers were a nightmare. Vellani scientists hung from organic walls, trapped in cocoons that kept them alive but helpless. Some had already been partially consumed. But they were alive, and that was enough. The Marines cut the prisoners free and carried them toward the boarding pods. Human medics were waiting to treat their injuries. Dr. Nara was among the rescued. She looked at the human Marines with wonder and fear. These Deathworlders were saving her people, but they moved and fought like machines of war. "Why did you come?" she asked Sergeant Pack as he carried her to safety. "Because you asked," he replied simply. "And because no one deserves to be eaten alive." The space battle reached its climax when Admiral Hyun targeted the Queen's ship with every heavy weapon in the fleet. The massive bioship tried to retreat, but human ships surrounded it. "All vessels concentrate fire on the enemy command ship," Hyun ordered. "No mercy." The Queen's ship died slowly. Railgun rounds tore through its living armor. Missile explosions lit up its skin. Green blood leaked from 1,000 wounds. Inside the ship, Colonel June reached the Queen's chamber. The massive creature filled the entire room. Her bloated body pulsed with alien intelligence. She looked at him with compound eyes that reflected his image 1,000 times. "You are the new predators," she said in perfect human language. "We underestimated your species." "Yes, you did," June replied. He raised his rifle and aimed at her brain. "The galaxy will fear you now," the Queen continued. "They will see what you are capable of and try to lock you away again." Let them try. June pulled the trigger. The queen's massive head exploded like a melon. Instantly, every hive creature in the fleet stopped fighting. Without their queen's mind to guide them, they became confused and helpless. The battle was over. Humanity had won. Across the galaxy, emergency meetings began in government buildings and military centers. The destruction of the hive fleet had been broadcast on every communication channel. Species that had never spoken to humans were suddenly very interested in Earth. On the peaceful world of Tharia Prime, President Zelm watched the battle recordings with growing horror. His people had not fought a war in 500 years. They solved problems with words and patience, not weapons and violence. How many hive ships did they destroy? He asked his military advisor. All of them, sir. 6 major bioships and hundreds of smaller craft. The humans lost only 3 vessels. Zelm's blue hands shook as he reached for his communication device. The Tharian Collective had voted to keep humans in quarantine just last year. Now he was beginning to understand why they had been so dangerous. Send a message to the Galactic Council, he ordered. We need an emergency session, today. On the war world of Stellar Prime, General Rax studied the human tactics with professional interest. His people were warriors who conquered 12 systems through superior strategy and discipline. They thought they understood combat. The human battle recordings proved them wrong. Look at this, he told his staff officers, pointing at the tactical display. The humans do not fight like a coordinated force. Each ship acts independently, yet they work together perfectly. How is that possible, General? Asked his aide. I do not know. Our warriors train for years to achieve unit coordination. These humans seem to do it naturally. Rax watched as human marines fought through the bioship corridors. They moved like pack hunters, covering each other without needing orders. Each soldier knew what his comrades would do before they did it. General, should we consider the humans a threat? Rax was quiet for a long moment. His people had conquered enemies across 3 star sectors. They had never lost a major battle, but watching the human fleet work, he felt something he had not experienced in decades. Fear. Send a diplomatic message to Earth, he ordered. We need to establish contact before they decide we are their enemies. Inside the dying Hive Queen's ship, Colonel June led his Marines through corridors that pulsed with fading life. The bioship was shutting down without its queen's mind to control it. Lights dimmed and walls stopped moving. Colonel, we found something. Sergeant Pack called from ahead. You need to see this. June followed the voice to a large chamber filled with organic computers. Thousands of living screens showed images from across the galaxy. Battle reports, fleet movements, strategic data. The Queen was watching everything, Dr. Hana said. She had come aboard to study hive technology. She knew about every military force in civilized space. June studied the screens. He saw peaceful Tharian exploration ships, proud stellar battle, cruisers, and dozens of other species. The hive had been planning to attack them all. Here, Hana said, pointing to one screen. Look at this. The display showed human space during the quarantine, empty star systems that had once held colonies, abandoned space stations drifting in the dark. The galaxy had forced humanity to give up everything and retreat to Earth. They thought we were gone, June realized. The hive planned to attack everyone because they believed humans could not interfere. Colonel, we found the Queen's personal memories, called another Marine. The biocomputer is still active. June walked to the pulsing organic device. Wendy. He touched it. Images flooded his mind. He saw the galaxy as the Hive Queen had seen it. 300 years ago, humans had been expanding into space. They built colonies and trade routes. They fought wars, but they also protected smaller species. From pirates and slavers, the galaxy had been a dangerous place, and humans were the ones who made it safer. But humans were different from other species. They had evolved on a world that constantly tried to kill them. Earth was a death world where hurricanes could destroy. Cities and earthquakes could swallow mountains. Only the strongest and most adaptable creatures survived there. This made humans unpredictable. Other species followed patterns and traditions. Humans improvised and adapted. They could be peaceful, diplomats one day and savage warriors the next. The galaxy found this terrifying. When humans started expanding too fast, other species became worried. What if these Deathworlders decided to conquer instead of protect? What if their violent nature took over? The Galactic Council made a decision. Humans were too dangerous to be free. They must be contained. The quarantine was supposed to be temporary, 50 years to study human behavior and find ways to make them less violent. But 50 years became 100, then 200, then 300. The galaxy forgot about Earth. They convinced themselves that humans were safely locked away forever. They built their peaceful civilizations and ignored the death world at the edge of space. The Hive Queen had studied this history. She knew that humans were gone. Her species could consume the galaxy one piece at a time, and no one could stop them. She had been wrong. June pulled his hand away from the biocomputer. The images faded, but the knowledge remained. Now he understood why his people had been locked away, and why they could never go back to being prisoners. "Sergeant, download everything from this computer," he ordered. "The Admiral needs to see this." On the bridge of the Incheon, Admiral Hyun received reports from across his fleet. The battle was won, but the real work was just beginning. "Sir, we have secured all the bioships," Commander Wu reported. "Marine teams are collecting intelligence and technology." "Casualties? 43 dead, 112 wounded. Medical teams report that all injuries are treatable." Hyun nodded grimly. 43 families would mourn their dead. But thousands of Villani lives had been saved. The price was worth paying. "Admiral, we are receiving communications from multiple governments," the communications officer announced. "The Tharian Collective, the Stellar Empire, the Merchant Guild, everyone wants to talk." "Let them wait," Hyun said. "We have more important business first." Dr. Nara was in the medical bay recovering from her injuries. She had asked to speak with the Admiral personally. Hyun found her sitting up in bed looking much better after human medical treatment. "Admiral, I wanted to thank you," she said. "My people owe you a debt we can never repay." "You do not owe us anything," Hyun replied. "We did what was right, but why? Your species has every reason to hate us. We supported the quarantine. We called you monsters and locked you away." Hyun sat down in a chair beside her bed. His weathered face was thoughtful. "Dr. Nara, do you know why humans were really quarantined?" "Because you were too violent, too unpredictable." "No. We were quarantined because we were effective. When humans were free in the galaxy, wars ended quickly. Pirates and slavers disappeared. Bullies learned to behave or faced human justice." Nara looked confused. "But the records say humans started many wars. We finished them. There is a difference." Hyun stood up and walked to the window. Outside, human ships collected wreckage from the battle. The galaxy wanted peace, but they wanted it without cost. They wanted safety without violence. That is impossible. I do not understand. Peace is not the natural state of the universe, Doctor. Peace exists only when good people are willing to fight for it. When you locked away the fighters, you left yourselves defenseless." Nara was quiet for a long moment. Then she asked, "What happens now? Will humans return to the quarantine?" Hyun turned back to her and smiled. It was not a cruel smile, but it was not entirely kind either. "No, Doctor. The quarantine is over. Humanity is back." In the fighter bay, Lieutenant Hana and her squadron celebrated their victory. They had shot down dozens of Hive fighters without losing a single pilot. But Hana was thinking about the bigger picture. "Lieutenant, incoming transmission from Earth," her communications officer reported. High priority. The message was from her family. Her parents and younger brother lived in the Tokyo arcology. They had watched the battle on the news and wanted to tell her how proud they were. "The whole world is celebrating," her brother said in the recording. "Everyone knows that humans are free again. There are parties in every city." Hana smiled, but she also worried. Earth's population was 15 billion people who had been trapped on one world for 3 centuries. Now they could spread across the galaxy again. But would the galaxy accept them? Her answer came sooner than expected. "Lieutenant, we are receiving a message from the Merchant Guild," her communications officer announced. "They want to hire human ships as escorts for their trade routes." "Already?" "Yes, ma'am. Apparently, word of our victory has spread fast. Several species are asking for protection contracts." Hana laughed. The galaxy had feared humans for their violence, but now they wanted that same violence to protect them. Fear and respect were closely related emotions. Colonel June finished his sweep of the Queen's ship and prepared to return to the Jeju. His Marines had collected massive amounts of intelligence about hive operations. The data would help humanity prepare for future threats. But as he walked through the dying bioship, he thought about the Queen's final words. She had said the galaxy would fear humanity again. She was probably right. Humans had been locked away because they were too effective at war. Now they were free, and they had just proven that 3 centuries of isolation had not made them weak. If anything, they were stronger than before. The other species would watch and worry. 3 days after the battle, the Villani research station was quiet again. Human engineering teams had repaired the worst damage and cleared away the hive remains. Dr. Nara stood in her rebuilt laboratory, looking out at the debris field where the bioships had died. The human fleet still surrounded the station. Their ships moved in careful patterns, collecting salvage and studying hive technology. Admiral Hyun had promised they would stay until all survivors were safely evacuated. "Doctor Nara," called her assistant, Dr. Kale. "The Admiral wants to speak with you before they leave." Nara walked to the main communications room where a hologram of Admiral Hyun waited. The human looked tired but satisfied. Behind him, she could see the bridge of his massive warship. "Doctor, how are your people doing?" he asked. "Better, thanks. To your medical teams. We have recovered 12 more survivors from the bioships. Your Marines are very good at their job. They have had good training. Are you ready for evacuation?" Nara hesitated. Her government had ordered all Villani to return home immediately. The Therian Collective was hosting an emergency meeting about the human situation. No one wanted Villani citizens near the Deathworlders. "Admiral, may I ask you something?" "Of course. What will humanity do now? Will you return to Earth and wait for the next crisis?" Hyun's smile was sharp as a blade. "No, Doctor. We will not be returning to our cage. Humanity is back among the stars, and we intend to stay." Before Nara could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the station. Her communications board lit up with emergency signals from across the galaxy. "Admiral, we are receiving multiple distress calls," Commander Wu reported from the Inchen's bridge. "Mining colony under attack in the Rigel system, pirate raids in the Vega sector. Hive survivors attacking a medical station near Proxima." Hyun's expression did not change, but Nara saw something dangerous flash in his eyes. "How many ships do we have available for immediate deployment?" "All of them, sir. The fleet is fully operational. Split the fleet into 3 groups. Send Captain Day to handle the pirates. Colonel June can deal with the hive survivors. I will personally see to the mining colony." "Sir, we do not have authorization from the Galactic Council for military operations in those sectors." "Then they can file a complaint after we save their people." The human fleet began moving before the conversation ended. Ships broke formation and jumped to hyperspace, racing toward distant battles. Within minutes, only a small escort remained with the research station. Dr. Nara watched this display of military efficiency with amazement and fear. The humans were not waiting for permission or following diplomatic protocols. They were simply doing what they thought was right. "Admiral," she said, "my government will not approve of human military action in those systems. Your government is welcome to handle the crises themselves," Hyun replied calmly. "But while they debate and form committees, people are dying. We will not let that happen." 2 hours later, Captain Day's destroyer group dropped out of hyperspace near the Vega mining station. Pirates in converted freighters were attacking the unarmed facility, stealing rare metals and capturing workers for the slave trade. The pirates had never fought humans before. They expected their victims to run or surrender. Instead, they found themselves facing warships that moved like hunting predators. "This is Captain Day of the Terran Defense Fleet," she broadcast on all frequencies. "You have 30 seconds to surrender and release your prisoners. After that, we will consider you enemy combatants." The pirate leader, a scarred Vraxian named Kor, laughed at the transmission. His fleet had raided this sector for years. No one had ever challenged them successfully. "Human ships, this is our territory. Leave now or be destroyed." Day's response was a railgun round through his ship's engine compartment. The pirate vessel spun out of control, venting atmosphere and debris. "Time's up," she announced cheerfully. The battle was over in minutes. Human ships swarmed the pirates like angry wasps. The criminals' energy shields meant nothing against kinetic weapons. Their armor plating crumpled under human firepower. Some pirates tried to run. Day's ships were faster. Others tried to hide behind asteroids. Human sensors found them anyway. A few attempted to surrender, but only after they had already opened fire on human vessels. Day did not accept late surrenders. When the shooting stopped, 12 pirate ships drifted dead in space. The mining station was safe, and 50 captured workers had been freed from slave holds. "Captain, the miners want to thank us personally," her communications officer reported. "Tell them thanks are not necessary. But if they really want to show gratitude, they can hire human security for their future operations." Meanwhile, Colonel June's assault force reached the medical station under hive attack. The surviving bugs from the original fleet had scattered across the galaxy after their queen's death. Without central control, they had become desperate scavengers. This group had attacked a hospital ship caring for wounded refugees. They were not trying to conquer territory or establish a new hive. They were simply hungry. June's Marines hit the bioship like a sledgehammer. They had studied hive tactics during the previous battle and knew exactly how to fight them. This time, there was no queen to coordinate enemy responses. The bugs fought as individuals and died as individuals. "Secure the medical bay," June ordered, as his teams swept through the bioship. "Priority 1 is patient safety." They found the hospital staff barricaded in surgery rooms, still treating patients even as battles raged outside. The doctors and nurses came from 6 different species, but they had all stayed at their posts to save lives. "Colonel, all hostile. Contacts eliminated," Sergeant Pak reported. "The medical ship is secure." Casualties: 2 Marines injured, no fatalities. Enemy force completely destroyed. June nodded with satisfaction. His troops were getting better at fighting hive creatures. Practice made perfect, even in warfare. Admiral Hyun arrived at the Rigel mining colony to find a different kind of crisis. The colony was under attack, but not by external enemies. A labor dispute had turned violent when corporate security tried to break up a workers' strike. The miners were demanding better safety equipment and fair wages. The corporation was using armed mercenaries to force them back to work. Both sides were shooting at each other while the colony's children hid in shelters. "Sir, this is a civilian matter," Commander Wu pointed out. "We have no authority to intervene in internal disputes." Hyun studied the tactical display. Corporate security had surrounded the mining complex with armed vehicles. Worker families were trapped inside with dwindling food and medical supplies. "Scan for weapons of mass destruction," he ordered. "Sir, you heard me. Scan for chemical weapons, biological agents, anything that could threaten civilian populations. The scan took several minutes. Finally, the sensor officer reported his findings. Sir, corporate security is using tear gas and sonic weapons against civilian areas. Some of the chemicals could be lethal to children. That constitutes a threat to innocent life, Hyun declared. We are authorized to intervene. The corporate security chief was a former military officer named Director Steele. He had fought against human forces during the border wars before the quarantine. He knew what they were capable of. When human ships appeared in orbit, he immediately opened communications. Admiral Hyun, this is a private corporate matter. You have no jurisdiction here. Director Steele, I remember you from the Kepler campaign. You ran away from that fight too. Steele's face flushed with anger. This is different. These workers are in violation of their contracts. We have legal authority to restore order. You have legal authority to use chemical weapons against children? Those are non-lethal riot control agents. Our scans disagree. Stand down your forces, immediately. Steele cut the communication and ordered his mercenaries to continue the assault. He had corporate backing and legal contracts. The humans could not touch him. He was wrong. Human marine pods fell from orbit like shooting stars. They landed in the corporate security compound and deployed troops with surgical precision. The mercenaries found themselves facing soldiers who moved like ghosts and shot like machines. The battle lasted 20 minutes. When it ended, corporate security had surrendered and the workers were free to negotiate fair contracts. Director Steele was in custody, charged with war crimes against civilian populations. Admiral, the Galactic Council is demanding an explanation, Commander Wu reported. They say we exceeded our authority. Tell them we prevented a massacre, Hyun replied. If they have a problem with that, they can come discuss it in person. News of the 3 simultaneous human interventions spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In the Therian Collective Assembly, President Zelm watched the reports with growing alarm. They are acting without authorization, he told his advisors. They are ignoring galactic law and taking military action wherever they choose. Sir, they are also saving lives, pointed out his military advisor. The pirates in the Vega sector had been operating freely for years. Corporate security at Rigel was about to massacre striking workers, and the hive survivors were eating hospital patients. That is not the point. If humans can act unilaterally, then so can other species. The entire system of galactic law could collapse. Sir, perhaps that system was not working as well as we thought. Zelm stared at his advisor in shock.